Hi, I'm Rusty Komori, and this is Beyond the Lines on ThinkTech Hawaii. I was the head coach of the Punahou boys varsity tennis team for 22 years, and we were fortunate to win 22 consecutive state championships. This show is based on my books, Beyond the Lines and Beyond the Game, and it's about leadership, character, and creating a superior culture of excellence. My special guest today is Miss Philippines Hawaii 2022 and an author of a wonderful children's book titled Puff Saves Paradise. She is Brittni Friedlander, and today we are going beyond pageants. Hey, Brittni, welcome to Beyond the Lines.
Hi, Rusty. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here this morning.
Brittni, I'm so happy to have you on the show. I mean, you've been making such a great impact in our community. And I want to first ask you if you can share about some of the schools that you attended and the sports that you played.
Yeah, so I started growing up at Friendship Christian Schools, which is at the beach. It's on Old Fort Weaver Road, and it's an old plantation school. So it's a private school that was really small. So I grew up with the same 20 students, really cultivated those relationships. I have the same best friend since I was 6 years old. And I think that's what's so important to me is building that ohana. And I learned that at that school. And then I actually graduated, though, from the public school system at James Campbell High in Eva Beach as well. So I come from two very different backgrounds, but from Eva Beach. So Eva Beach girl. And growing up, I did volleyball and soccer. I was not a big sports player. My dad wanted me to join sports, but I was not gifted with athletic ability. So I felt always insecure. I was always picked last for kickball and all those PE sports. But I really enjoyed doing the sports because I was able to build more friendships also.
Now, Brittni, when you were growing up, what were some of the insecurities or vulnerabilities that you had?
I grew up an only child, so it was really about building confidence to create those relationships on your own because I learned a lot of independency, but I had to learn how to collaborate and work with a team and build friendships. So from a young age, I tried to be my most outgoing self, tried to be the friendliest I could be because I think there is that sort of stigma between only children. They're like, are you weird? Are you antisocial? But no, I'm like, no, guys, like I'm really friendly, I'm bubbly, like I want to be your friend. I want to hang out. And so that was an insecurity that I had growing up because I thought, ooh, are people going to think, oh, you're an only child? Like, what's that like? What's that like growing up like that? So I had to really build my own relationships. And I'm really happy that I have the friends and the family that I do in the support system and that I learned to not only be independent, but to work with others and be able to do that in the long term.
Now, Brittni, I want to ask you about why you entered the Miss Philippines Hawaii pageant.
So what's really great about the Miss Philippines Hawaii pageant is that it's a scholarship competition. So I think there's a lot of eyes that are on pageantry where they think it's just a beauty pageant. But Miss Philippines Hawaii actually goes into the Miss Hawaii organization that gives thousands of dollars of scholarship opportunities for women. And at the time, I was finishing up my senior year in college. I have my bachelor's degree now in education. And so it was a great opportunity to earn scholarship dollars and then also the service aspect of it. I'm a big advocate for service and volunteerism. And I'm an educator who just felt like there was a need to do more. So I said, okay, this is a great networking platform. It's a great platform where you get to meet other people in the community, other ladies who have the same mindset as you and that just want to do more.
Now, Brittni, I want to ask you, what did you learn about yourself during that pageant experience?
Yeah, so part of the pageant experience was a lot of resume building and interview prep. And so I learned a lot about myself and the deep need for why I am the way I am and why I am a teacher, why that stood out to me, why that was the career path that I chose. And I learned a lot of confidence because I didn't grow up a pageant girl. I had never run in a pageant before. So that was my first real pageant experience. And I had to go through all of these phases of competition in front of a set of judges and in front of a huge audience and really show my best self. answer the questions genuinely and authentically as myself. So I learned a lot of about myself, but I learned a lot of confidence also. And I was so grateful to be able to walk away as Miss Philippines Hawaii and share that story with younger students, especially my own students and students that I've been able to work with in the service community as well, and other schools and in other places where I don't teach, because all of those girls are saying, oh, I don't have a background in pageantry. I don't know how to walk. I don't know how to talk. And I'm like, nope, I started not as a young youth, not as a teenager. I started as an adult. You can start now, you can learn, and anybody can do it.
Well, I give a lot all of the girls credit because it's not easy going up on stage being that young and then having to speak and do a talent and everything. And I know that there's a lot of girls behind the scenes that really support each other during the competition, right?
It's so true. A lot of my best friends now are friends that I grew from Miss Philippines Hawaii and then also competing at the state level at Miss Hawaii. So I'm so glad that I have those friends because we're all in the same boat. We all want to do more for the community. We all have a service initiative. Mine was Full Steam Ahead, which was education based and bringing in more STEM and STEAM methods into the classroom. But there's amazing women who are entrepreneurs, business owners. They're going to medical school. So we're all ladies who want to do more for our communities and see the greater need.
And Brittni, pageant owner Vilma Takei, she's the owner of the Miss Philippines Hawaii pageant. I mean, she does such a great job and she's such a great supporter of our community as well. What are some things that you admired most about Vilma?
She truly is. She really is a leader and she shows her heart to everyone. She's been in this business for such a long time. And I'm so happy that even now after the pageant, I can call her a friend. I know I can call her up whenever I need something, whenever I need to just vent or even just someone to talk to and just to hang out with, grab a cup of coffee with and hang out. But she really showed us that service is everything. She not only planned the fun photo shoots, the glam behind all the pageantry, but organized a lot of volunteer opportunities for us to get our initiatives out there and to show that we are public speakers, but our hearts are with service. And I think that's what I really admire about her is that the personal connection that I have goes beyond the pageants. It's truly a friendship that is going to be for forever.
Yeah, I completely see that in so many of these pageants, and Vilma's absolutely terrific. And I want to ask you, Brittni, about you being an author of that awesome children's book, Puff Saves Paradise. Now, I absolutely loved it. You talk about teamwork, you talk about the problems of pollution. I mean, it's so great. Everybody needs to get your book. And I want to know why you wrote the book.
Thank you, Rusty. So, as a college student, this was in the making for probably 5, 6 years because I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I was taking my education classes and I said, I want something tangible in my classroom that I could share with my students because I knew I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. And as a TA, just being a teacher's assistant, tutoring, I saw that, okay, if I have something that's personal, something that can connect with my students in the long run, it'll make all the difference. So the book is actually about my childhood dog named Puff. He was my 15-year-old Tibetan Spaniel who I grew up with. And I was an only child, so I had to build my own friendships, but I also had a lot of pets. My parents always gave me a lot of pets and animals. So I'm a big animal lover. And I knew, okay, I want to make this personal. And so I started writing the book and I said, well, where do I want to go with it? I knew I wanted Puff, my childhood dog, to be the main character. But then I thought, okay, but what story do I want to press? What do I want to tell my students and my future students that I'm going to have? And so I thought of a time when I was a child and I loved science experiments. I wasn't athletic. I wasn't great at sports, but I loved science. I loved doing projects. I loved the arts. And so I thought, let's write it about STEM, but let's incorporate the arts and make it STEAM. So what I do in the book is utilize science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And Puff figures out how to work with environmental education to use STEAM methods to make a difference in his community. So I even partnered with Malama Inahonu, which is a turtle rehabilitation organization on Oahu. And Puff utilizes the acronym of STEAM to then pursue higher education and environmental education. So he's sharing with his community why pollution is a problem, how this baby sea turtle got caught in trash pollution, and how are we as community members helping the littering, helping the pollution in our community and really making a difference. So with that, I even have a lot of characters in the children's book who are real life characters. It's not only Puff, it's my other childhood dog named Brandy. He's in the book. I've got a baby duckling in the book that I fostered through the Hawaii Humane Society. And so at the end of the book, all the students and children who read it can see all the real life illustrations of the characters that are in the book and find out, hey, they were real life characters. Malama Inahonu is a real organization that we can volunteer with. And then I have a reading comprehension section at the end of the book so that the students are answering the questions, they're understanding the content, they're learning about STEM, they're learning about environmental education, and they're learning how to be self-directed learners, but they're also learning how to be community contributors also.
Well, and in the book, you talked about them being on the S.T.E.A.M team, right?
Yes, the STEAM team. It's all about that teamwork. And as a community, what are we doing to help the problem of pollution? We need to find solution to the problem of pollution. And that was like a big slogan in the book also.
Well, I absolutely loved it. And the illustrations were great. And Brittni, you have both of my books, and you're somebody that definitely has high standards. I mean, you are building a culture of excellence. I absolutely love that. And what are some things that's standing out to you in the books?
Well, I love the 4 Ps. It's the people, the purpose, where you're finding your performance. I even added a few of my own Ps to really integrate in my life. In pageantry, it's about practicing, preparing, and then you perform also. But I think something that also stood out to me really well was the character aspect of it. It's that when you're a leader, you have to also implement a great character with your team members because winning isn't everything. If you're not a leader who has character education in your life, if you're not humble, if you're not sharing that with others and finding more ways to even expand your success, then you're not a great leader. You need to have that character a part of your life too.
And Brittni, are great leaders made?
No. I mean, yes, they are. Yes, they are. That was something that stood out to me too, because I share that with my students and with my initiative is that we're not born, we're made. Great leaders are made, and you need to implement that mindset, have that positive mindset to implement that leadership in your own life.
Brittni, you recently did a TEDx talk, and that's really impressive. I want to know what you talked about during that and how was that experience for you?
It was so amazing. I was chosen to do the TEDx talk in Lihue, Kauai. We had never had a TEDx talk there before. And the main theme was the power of positive thinking. And so all of the speakers had to find a moment in their life where they said, hey, I persevered through the face of failure. I pursued golden opportunities, and I came out on the other side of that. And so my personal talk was called The Superpower of Science because I am a science educator. My children's book is about STEAM, which involves science. And I said, okay, well, there is a part in my life where science helped me be successful. So for even the Miss Philippines Hawaii pageant, science was my talent, which was a talent that not many people think would be a performing talent. And I was able to succeed through that. And I talked about that experience. I found my success being a science educator, sharing my pageant platform and initiative and networking in the community, and then finding keynote speaker roles through that and sharing how science was my superpower personally. But what's your superpower? What do you find success in? What are you going to persevere in? What is going to motivate you? And then again, with that mindset, that positive mindset that good leaders are made. They're not just born. We have to cultivate that mindset.
Brittni, it's amazing all the things that you're doing. I mean, you're also a school teacher. Can you tell me what schools you taught at, what school you teach at currently, and what grade levels you help?
So I started off teaching full time while I was a student teacher, actually, in my last year of Chaminade University in Honolulu. And I was so honored to be a teacher while also being a student teacher, because a lot of the times as a student teacher, we're not paid for necessarily our teaching time. So I was really honored to be able to be a teacher in a private school. So I taught at Lanakila for 2 years. I was a middle school teacher and then also an elementary teacher. So I really was able to have the insight of the dynamics of different age range of students and connect with them on different levels and ways. And this year, I'm actually a substitute teacher through Punahou and then also the Department of Education schools. So I've been a private school teacher, I've been a public school teacher, and this year I've really expanded my reach. I've taught in West Side, Leeward schools, even schools in Honolulu, especially at Punahou, and I've gotten to see the different things that classrooms have to offer. And so I think that helps teachers. I really recommend it as well. If you're maybe a first year teacher, to just take a year and substitute teach. Give your time to different schools, talk to different administration, meet different principals, meet different teachers, and see where you fit, see what things work for you, what classroom that you would probably want to possibly be a part of in the future. So it's given me a lot of flexibility. I can wake up at 6 a.m. and then go on the ReadySub website and see, okay, there's a job opportunity here. Or I get a call and they say, hey, Ms. Friedlander, we'd like you here. And I could say yes or no, or I already have a school here. So it's a lot of flexibility also, but it's a lot of insight because you're seeing this in a wide range of schools statewide. And that's really helped with my initiative also, because I've been able to meet so many administration boards, so many principals and teachers. And so I think that's going to help in the future because I love performing science demonstrations for schools, doing book readings, and just talking about the importance of STEM and STEAM education.
Well, I'm glad you brought that back up because you turned STEAM into your actual nonprofit, and you go to schools to really talk about STEAM. And can you share more about the education and innovative part about your nonprofit and you speaking at schools?
So I speak at schools, but also community events. And I wanted to create the nonprofit to be a 501c3 that can legally garner funds for not only students, but for teachers, because I think it starts there. I think a good education system and platform starts with the teachers. And as teachers, we know that we have to fund a lot of the own supplies in our classrooms. So I really wanted to make this nonprofit by teachers for teachers, so that we're implementing and garnering funds and sharing curriculum and just being collaborative. So what I do in schools is that I do science demonstrations and book readings, but I also meet with teachers and I get to ask them, what supplies do you need for your classroom? And then I can organize events where community members and parents can donate. We have a website where you're able to donate, but I also like to just do it in person and just to be able to say, hey, there's a teacher that's from Waikele Elementary, Waipahu Elementary. They need poster boards in their classroom. They need art supplies in their classroom. Is there anybody who's willing to donate those supplies so that it's not coming from the teachers, but also the community members? Because teachers really put their all in their lesson plans, but they also need the supplies so that the education is accessible to all and that the students have a lot of visuals, especially elementary students. They need the art supplies, they need the poster boards to be those learners. And what the nonprofit also does is motivate the learners through innovation. So what I've been able to do as a teacher and in the community is that, for example, I have Monarch Life chrysalis jars. It's springtime right now. So that is the season where monarchs are blooming. And I have a little milkweed plant where I have the little caterpillars and the chrysalis. And once they reach the chrysalis stage, we have this little area in kind of like Monarch Life chrysalis jars where all these students can have their own monarch and they could name their monarch. And as soon as they emerge about 18 days after they're in the chrysalis. We time it to a T where the students are able to watch the chrysalis actually emerge into a monarch butterfly hands on. And then we could see, okay, are they a boy butterfly? Are they a girl butterfly? There's ways that we could tell. There's little dots at the bottom of the monarch wings where the students are like, okay, there's dots, so it's a boy. There's no dots, okay, so it's a girl. And they get to name their monarch. And that's something that I think is so much fun for students to see science really come to life, not just from the science book, but in person. And I've been able to do incubation sets where I've collaborated with farmers in Waianae, where they allowed me to use incubation sets in the classroom where the students can see baby chicks being born. And then they also time that scientifically. They implement the maths because they're doing the adding and subtracting of when the chicks are going to be born, and they get to log it all down in their notebooks. And so it's really being like, wow, I'm reading about this in my science books, but I'm seeing this in person. I'm utilizing all the aspects of STEM and STEAM and implementing that in real life. These are real life creatures being born. These are real life animals, pets. How are we learning? And it's all about just doing the projects, having them really see that in person and sharing that with other teachers, sharing those resources, giving them that contact information from the farmers in Waianae. Hey, I got this incubation set from this farmer in Waianae. Would you like their contact information so you can do this in your classroom also? So it's been amazing. I've been able to partner with so many schools. I've done science demonstrations with the Hawaii Discovery Center in town. And I'm even partnering with Sea Life Park in April to do an Art in the Park day. So it's going to be so much fun. So it's not only in the classroom, but it's statewide as well.
Okay, so dots boy, no dots
Yes.
girl, right?
Yes, dots on the bottom of the wings, boy, no dots, girl. So that's something that they're learning too, because now when they're seeing these monarch life butterflies on the bush, they're looking, they're saying, okay, is this a boy or a girl? And that's what I learned in school.
Man, you have such a great personality, Brittni. I mean, you just make things, I think, learning fun. And you went to the Philippines to speak at a school over there. Now, how was that experience for you?
It was amazing. So I was actually able to receive a grant from the Chaminade University of Honolulu. They partnered with the Department of Education to choose 8 teachers from the US to fly to the Philippines for 2 months. So I was there for 2 months, being able to talk in schools, share my children's book, and then really have that cultural immersion. My mom is actually an immigrant from the Philippines. And so coming back from the Philippines, I was able to talk about my experience more in depth because the last time I was there, I was really young. So it was an amazing experience being able to culturally immerse, but visit other schools internationally and see what they're doing and how we can implement that in our own classrooms. I was able to be on Apo Island, which is a marine sanctuary and conservation island in the Visayas region of the Philippines. And there it's really special because they conserve water and electricity for 12 hours a day. So they have an infiltration system where they use rainwater. They are very environmentally friendly. And that's something that I'm a really big advocate as well. I talk about it in the children's book. It's just pollution and environmental education and the small things that we can do as community members to make a larger difference. So the community in Apo Island is cultivated of about 200 or so residents. So it's not a large island. So everybody knows each other. They're able to be ohana, friends. So it's crazy to see, wow, what they are doing in the environment and how are we doing that? How are we going to implement that back home here in Hawaii? So when I was over there, I was able to talk to a lot of principals and teachers. And something that stood out to me was that they have classes that are amazing. I think that we should implement here in America as well, where they teach you how to make your bed properly. They teach you how to wash dishes, how to vacuum, and how to do those household chores that we need in our everyday lives. And that's an hour a day class that I think is really important. It goes above STEAM and STEM. It's really just those daily tasks that students at a young age should be learning so that when they're adults, they're on it. They know what they need to do. It's just daily tasks where we should be teaching our own students too. So I hope as a teacher that I can find a way to implement just those small things. I remember last year as a second grade teacher at Lanakila, we had a kuleana, which was a responsibility task list. So I had my students each week, they would have different tasks in the classroom. One would vacuum, one would pick up trash, one would be the line leader, and they loved it. They felt so much responsibility in kuleana, and they loved it. They were able to switch jobs. Some would even beg to have jobs for 2 weeks. It was amazing. So I hope to continue that. And I learned a lot of that from the Philippines. It was amazing.
Now, Brittni, when you were there, I mean, I love how you said, the daily chores that they actually teach that. And How was it speaking? I mean, because I know that Philippines, there's different dialects, right?
Yes, there is. There's hundreds. So Tagalog is the main dialect that we know, and then Ilocano as well. But there I was able to learn Cebuano, which is not a dialect that a lot of the Filipino community here in Hawaii knows because a lot of them come from the north or the south region of the Philippines. But Cebuano and the Visayas region is located in the middle of the Philippines. So it was great. As Miss Philippines Hawaii, I remember coming back from the Philippines and I was talking to some of these ladies from the Filipino community and I go, "Oh, what part of the Philippines are you from?" And they say, "Oh, Dumaguete." I said, "I just came back from Dumaguete. I learned some Cebuano." And then I go, "Maayong buntag." And they're like, and they open up their phones and they say, "Oh, please do it again, please say it again." I said, "Okay, maayong buntag, maayong hapon," which is just good morning, good afternoon. And then they said, "Oh, salamat, salamat." And then I said, "Danghang salamat," which is thank you very much. And then they say, "Oh, thank you." And then I go, "Ah, why sapayan," which is just you're welcome. And it's just those small things that I think make the biggest difference because they feel that connection, they feel seen, they feel heard, and they weren't expecting it, which I thought was so beautiful. They just were so surprised and they wanted to film me. And I said, "Okay, I can do it again." And so it was great. And it's just having those small conversations that make the difference in the community, I think, for sure.
And you're right. It's all about connecting with people. And Brittni, I want to ask you, when you reflect back on your life so far, what's a valuable lesson you've learned?
Ooh, it goes also back to something I learned in your book as well, and it's about character, that character education. I try to implement that in my own class because there's a line of being confident where you know you're doing the right thing, you're having that positive mindset, but then you don't want to get overly confident. You don't want to turn that confidence into cockiness. It's about humility and knowing there's always room for improvement. There's always room for growth. There's always room to just do better, to learn more about yourself. And I think that's what I've learned most of all is character education because a good leader knows how to be a team player. They know how to be relatable, they know how to share that with others. And it's leadership qualities, but it's also being collaborative too.
Now, Brittni, what advice would you give to our youth right now?
Yes, I would say to face the fear of failure and just to pursue those opportunities, just to have that positive mindset. It always starts with the mindset. I know that it's hard when you make mistakes. I've lived through so many mistakes and failures with the book, with the nonprofit, where I've had to start from scratch. And it's about the journey. It's about having patience with yourself. And it starts with that positive mindset of I have this goal and I have this checklist and I'm going to persevere no matter what hinders me, no matter what obstacles I face. So I try to share that even with elementary students because we talk about career day, we talk about, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's all about that positive mindset and working through that and just finding what makes you happy and finding success in that and just persevering through that positive mindset.
I'm glad you said that. That's so true. That's what I write about, and that's what you're all about. And Brittni, I want to ask you one more thing before we wrap up. What's a future goal of yours?
So a future goal I have is I would really love to be a school principal one day and then be on the administration side of that and work with other teachers, but be a principal and learn as a teacher, being a principal who's been a teacher in that classroom. So I'm really hoping to get my master's in educational leadership. I'm hoping to do that very soon in the future. And so hopefully you'll see me one day as possibly a school principal.
Brittni, I have to say, I can definitely see you being a school principal and then a school president. I mean, I can see you being a school president. And Brittni, you have such a great personality. You're such a great role model for youth and adults. And I really want to thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Rusty. I really appreciate it. I'll definitely see you again in the future. Thank you again for having me. It's been so much fun.
Thanks, Brittni. And thank you for watching Beyond the Lines on ThinkTech Hawaii. For more information, please visit rustykomori.com, and my books are available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and Brittni's books too. I hope that Brittni and I will inspire you to create your own superior culture of excellence and to find your greatness and help others find theirs. Aloha.
Thank you so much for watching ThinkTech Hawaii. If you like what we do, please like us and click the subscribe button on YouTube and the follow button on Vimeo. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and donate to us at thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.